Hey guys, Anna here. I just got back from one of the most amazing trips that I have taken in a long time, and that was a 3-day conference in upstate New York called Promoting Passion 2017, which is hosted by Brooke Shaden. She's done it every year since 2015, and this was my first year going. Now, in addition to learning a lot about photography, this workshop really opened up my eyes to a lot of stuff at a soul level. Learned a lot of things, new perspectives on how to make my life better. Not to say that my life is not currently amazing, but when you hear other people talk and you hear their inspirations and the things that scare them, all those things really inspire you to look at yourself and how you can tweak your life to make it what you want. So with that being said, yesterday was the last day of the conference, and Brooke Shaden and Jeremy Saunders spoke. And both of those wonderfully talented individuals spoke back to back with a very powerful message about fear and creating. And that got me really, really inspired to take a look at my current situation. And it made me really analyze why things in my life happen the way that they do. They're all very consistent. I always want to make progress with my creative talents, my artistic creative talents, and I seem to always just kind of be very consistent. So, they talked a lot about fear and a lot of seeing your own worth, seeing the worth in others, and seeing the potential. Don't try to prove your worth, live it. Another thing is educate others how to create. Jeremy talked a lot about fear and just having a different perspective on things, and that, his aha moments were be vulnerable, life is too short for small talk, and your art can change the world. After Brooke Shaden's talk, I went to the back of the room and I felt very inspired to write. I wanted to take a look at my fears and create this list called Things That Scare the Bleep Out of Me That I Should Do. And this is my list right here that I wrote. And it's got a bunch of different things that I've thought about doing, but then I'm like, no, that's dumb, or no, this wouldn't work, or no, I wouldn't get that, or no. Just being complacent and comfortable being comfortable. Now, that's something that I've had a problem with for a long time, is just finding whatever makes me comfortable and sticking to it without really seemingly taking a chance and conquering or getting out of my comfort zone in that area that I am scared of. So I thought that today I would actually face one of these fears, and it is to make my first teaching video about editing. And this may sound very insignificant, very small, but to me, I felt like if I created a video, who am I to, I felt like I needed all sorts of credentials to make this video. Like, I needed to have X amount of followers on all my social media platforms, and I needed to maybe be successful in business and all these different things. And so all these notions in my head were stopping me from just creating this simple video about editing for you. Now, I've been taking pictures for a long time, and I'm pretty good at it. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I don't know everything, but I'm pretty good at what I do. So I do have a lot to offer because I've invested the time in learning it, and so there's no reason why I can't create videos to help people who are experienced, people who are intermediate, and people who are just picking up a camera. So I was on Instagram the other day and I posted this photo from our workshop. And I got a comment on there that said, oh wow, I would love to see your behind the scenes on this one. And so that got me thinking, and I got inspired. I was like, yeah, I can post some behind the scenes, because people were wondering how I created the effect in that image. I was being asked if it was some, thing that I did in Photoshop to make it kind of blurred like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you and take you kind of step by step on what I did. Now, this picture was taken as part of a collaborative photo shoot within the workshop. But if you want to create something very similar, you're going to need a model, a boat, a vintage dress, a lake and or beach, and maybe some fall foliage. But the key to getting an image to look similar to this is this right here. Before I went to the workshop, I bought these two things. This is a chandelier glass right here. It's a teardrop, and this is a prism. And I call these fractals. They reflect light, and they refract light and all that good stuff, and I'm sure that there's scientific terms for what they do to light. But I bought these and I took them with me because I wanted to try something new, and also while I was there, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to take a different approach to what we were doing because I wasn't really guiding the models. I was just more watching what people were doing because in a room full of that many photographers, I feel like I'm a wedding photographer all over again, trying to duck family, friends, people who are there. I'm trying to duck all the guests so I am not blocking their experience of what's going on. So it's just like a really weird ingrained thing that I have, but I was just observing a lot. And so I was doing my own thing at the same time, and this is how I created the image. So I have my D700 camera right here, and I used a 50mm 1.4 lens. Now my settings for this image were 1.8 at ISO 200 and 1/3200th of a second. Now, whenever I'm shooting anywhere that there's light, I'm always trying to shoot at the lowest possible ISO that I can. I do like to shoot that way, so because you can add grain later in post, but it's a lot harder to remove it. I know that Lightroom does a great job, but for me, it's just easier to add grain at the end. So this is what I did. I'm looking through my viewfinder, and I am just doing this through my image. And you know what works best? I'm so sorry if you take this off, because that way you can get this really close to your lens and start moving it around to see like the different reflections. I don't know if you want to do the full frame. Anyways, experiment, because that's what I did. And so I was able to take this photograph. Here's a different example of another photograph where I used the prism. And here I was observing where the light was in this image, and I wanted this reflection to come from the direction of the light that was hitting her face, because I wanted it to look like a glare. I'd been playing around with the prism before. I wanted to see what the reflection looked like, and I was doing different angles, and then boom, I realized that if you point it in the direction of where the sun is coming from, it starts creating kind of like a really cool flare effect on your image. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put that here, because she's holding an umbrella, but it's sunny in the woods, and that's how I created this image. So I actually used a different lens for this one. I was shooting a lot during the workshops with my 80-200 2.8 lens. Now, the settings that I used for this image were ISO 1000, f2.8, and my shutter speed at 1/500th of a second. Now, I bought this lens used, and she's a little finicky. She always has been, but I love her. And I learned through shooting weddings that this little bad girl doesn't stabilize very well. So for me, when I was shooting, I learned that 1/320th of a second was the lowest I could go for handheld without getting camera shake. So I decided to shoot this at 1/500th of a second. And the reason is because when you're holding this very heavy camera with this very heavy lens in one arm, trying to hold the fractal in one hand, or however you hold your camera, you're gonna get a lot of this. And even more than if I just hold and stabilize like I would normally do. So I chose to use a higher ISO in order to prevent that. ISO 1000 is still a very good ISO with low grain. I mean, yes, it does have grain, but I used to shoot at 1250 all the time at weddings during the reception, because I could still get that ambient lighting and that high speed that I needed in order to shoot. Of course, I also used to use flashes as well, but it really helped me capture a lot of ambient lighting, which gave that richness to images. So now that I've deviated, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I edited this image. Hey guys, here we are in Lightroom, and I'm about to go ahead and show you how to edit this image. At this moment, I'm using Adobe Lightroom CC Creative Cloud, and that's the only thing that I use to edit this image. This is the straight out of camera image right here. So as you see, here's the reflection from the image that I took. Now I have these ViscoCam presets that I absolutely adore. I've become absolutely obsessed with them, and this is not really a plugin. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form, but I have really come to adore a lot of these Visco presets, especially this Tri-X, because I used to shoot film in college and I always shot with my Tri-X 400 film, But I discovered this pack here from Visco that has all these incredible films, and it's the Visco Film FE pack right here. And what I started doing is just really going through all of these to kind of see what spoke to me in this image. But I came down all the way to this Kodak Gold Warm Plus. This one right here is the preset that I used. I'm just going to go back through my history so I can show you kind of step by step what I did. So as you see, I was toying between Ektar 25 Warm and Kodak Gold 200 Warm Plus. I settled on the 200 Warm Plus because I just really like that vintage effect. It kind of had it went with the dress that she was wearing, kind of the feel of the boat. It just, to me, tied it all together. And plus, I adore warm images. That's really my thing. So, yeah, I went with that one. So then the biggest thing that I did was adjust my vignette. So I went down here. So as you see, I didn't really touch much of anything here in this palette as far as adjustments. I think the only thing I adjusted was exposure, which I'll show you here in a second. But I went down here to lens correction. And I went down here to vignetting. And I added a vignette to this image to really give it that vintage feel, to take that over the edge. I went ahead after that and I gave it a bump in exposure, and then I exported it. And I only edited this image in Lightroom. So that was my process for this, because I took a look at her skin and I didn't really feel like she needed any real retouching right here. And what I really liked is the grain in this film. So it kind of really gave that vintage Castaway feel that I was going for. So that is how I retouched and edited this image. Obviously there was no retouching, so just kidding. But if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave them in the section below. Thank you so much for watching.